Welcome to the Defense and Aerospace Report. I'm Vagan Maradian here in Halifax, Nova Scotia for the annual Halifax International Security Forum, one of the world's truly great security gatherings here in this great Canadian town. Our coverage here is sponsored by Boeing and Leonardo DRS, and it's our honor to be talking to Emily Lau, who is the chair of the International Affairs Committee of the Democratic Party of Hong Kong. Ma'am, thank you so much for your time, and it was a terrific address you had up in the panel discussion.
It was entertaining, wasn't it?
It was very entertaining. There is now almost an existential fight that's going on. How do you think this is going to play out, and what can the international community do to support the people of Hong Kong?
Well, I certainly hope that they will pay attention to what's happening there. And it should not be difficult because I think many of them would have friends or even relatives living there, working there. Because Hong Kong is a very international city. There are about 300,000 Canadian citizens there and many Americans, Germans, British, and so on. So we hope our friends will look at what's happening in Hong Kong and speak out. Urge the Chinese government of President Xi Jinping not to crack down on us. We're not fighting for independence. We're just asking the Chinese to keep the promise of allowing Hong Kong people to continue to enjoy the freedoms, the rule of law, personal safety, and all those things they promise, which should last under the policy of one country, two systems for 50 years until 2047. But now people are so fearful because the Chinese kept interfering that 2047 is here already. So I hope our friends in the international community would all speak out, talk to your parliamentarians, talk to your government, and ask them to speak out and get the Chinese to exercise maximum restraint.
Do you think, though, that there will be, if China does crack down, as some people fear it will, do you think that there will be an international outcry and there'll be penalties on Beijing? Or is it that Beijing has figured out that everybody still wants to do business with us no matter what, and it'll blow over?
Well, I don't want people to have to act after there's a crackdown. That would be too late. I want them to speak out now so as to make sure China will not do it. This is what I want. Not to say, oh, after the horses is bolted, then you do this and that. No. We don't want Hong Kong to be destroyed and then people speak out. So what? You pick it up from the bottom of the Victoria Harbour? No, that's no good. So people like Hong Kong, people have been to Hong Kong. It's a precious little city. Used to be free and vibrant. But now this is a David versus Goliath fight. That's why it's so captivating. And we hope our friends will all come and help little David, just to tell China to, hey, come on, lay off, guys. So this is the thing, not to wait till everything is, then you say something, it's not going to help.
What's the right approach at a time when everybody is looking and discussing how either to contain China or make sure rather it lives within the rules-based order? What's the right way for the international community to deal with it? Because there are Chinese fingerprints across the region. You see it in Taiwan with continuous threats, for example. What's the right way the international community should deal with Beijing?
Well, I think we have to accept that China is a member of the international community, and they play a role in many parts, and their goods are sold in many countries, and people benefit because they are usually cheaper, and that's why Huawei, this telephone, is much cheaper than many of the Western products. So what we need to do is to tell China, you are a member of the international community. You should be a responsible member. You should abide by the code of behavior, the civilized code of behavior of the international community. And what the democracy should demand of China is reciprocity. You come to my country, free place to study, to work, as journalists, to do interviews and so on. It's open. You have access. But if I go to your country, to China, I don't get access. I even get locked up. Why? Why do democracies put up with such unfair treatment? You're asking for fair treatment. I give it to you. Why don't you give it to me? And if everybody expects China to behave like that, they would be pressurized, they would be urged to behave in a more civilized manner. But right now, what is happening is that many governments, companies, individuals, they see China as a crock of gold, big pot of gold. Everybody wants to go in and grab it. And China knows. They know these are the greedy people who come in and they will turn a blind eye to any misbehavior so long as they get access to money and to the market. So I don't know whether the problem is in China or in ourselves. So I think if we all say, come on, behave properly, we treat you fairly, and you give us a fair deal.
Do you think that it's too late to contain or shape China at this point? Because there are some people who say that whether it's military capabilities, whether it's economic capabilities, whether it's technological capabilities, that it's a little bit too late to stem China's potentially nefarious tendencies. What do you say to that?
I think it's never too late. Well, the thing is, China is there. It's the number 2 economic power. We can't ignore it. And many people like to do business with it. Every day as we speak, there are, God knows how many hundreds of thousands of people pouring into China as tourists, as business people, as students, whatever. So there are lots of exchanges. And I don't think we should say, hey, stop. And you can't stop it anyway. But the thing to do is, for democratic countries, I hope they believe in a code of behavior, they believe in universal values. So they start demanding China of that. When they come to your country, so you say, you come here, I allow you to have open access to all the things, how come you don't give it to me? I think if you can all get together and make similar demands, I'm not against people making money, and some of your people benefit. But still, you have to help to change China, to get them to behave in a more civilized way.
Do you think if there is a crackdown in China that the international community will punish Beijing in turn?
I don't know. I'm not going to second guess these people. But I don't even want to see a crackdown in Hong Kong. And I hope the international community would also speak out to prevent that, rather than to say, oh, if it happens, what do we do? That's too late.
Emily Lau, former chairwoman of the Democratic Party of Hong Kong, now the chair of the International Affairs Committee. Ma'am, thanks very much, and best of luck to you, because I think that it's the future of democracy around the world is on the streets of Hong Kong.
We needed that. Thank you very much. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.